I needed a tool that would help my clients to understand how they were perceived by others, not just how they view themselves. Hogan does that. I work with senior female leaders in human resources. They are a more discerning client than most. And that's because many of them are very familiar with different assessment tools. They're certified in some of them, including Hogan. And they know that Hogan is the gold standard in terms of its usage within corporate environments and for individual talent development. And they recognize that difference that Hogan makes. I use Hogan in each of my one-on-one coaching engagements, as well as in larger team and group coaching. Most of my clients have gotten into senior HR roles by using their own expertise and reliability, not necessarily through self-promotion. For HR leaders in particular, what I see is a lot of them suffer from imposter syndrome. And this is because HR has traditionally been viewed as a support function. So many HR leaders ask themselves questions like, have I really earned my seat at the table? HR leaders also take on a lot of the emotional load of the organization, which can lead to struggles with their resilience and potentially burnout. For all of these reasons, many HR leaders often don't fully understand their own strengths or how they land with other people. This can create a gap and confusion about their own impact. Hogan can help to solve that. I want to share an example of a client who had some breakthrough results in a mindset shift after reviewing her Hogan. So my client, Sarah, was an HR manager at an accounting firm for 10 years when she was passed over for the HR director promotion. Angry and hurt, Sarah knew she was capable of that role, but she couldn't understand why her organization couldn't see it. In reviewing her Hogan results, we saw something that Sarah couldn't see herself, which is that she was using her influencing skills to push HR initiatives in a way that other people experienced as pressure rather than partnership. Once she understood that derailer, she was able to recalibrate. Within 3 months, Sarah found a new role as an HR director at an aviation company. And interestingly, what Sarah did was she implemented coaching for her entire C-suite leadership in her new role. So this is just an example of how an HR leader operating from her strengths can have an outsized impact on an organization. I want to talk about why Hogan is different from other assessment tools that are out there. As a coach and trainer, I have used other assessment tools like MBTI, like DISC, and Clifton Strengths, but Hogan is different because most assessment tools tell you how you see yourself. Hogan tells you how others see you, your actual reputation in a corporate context. That is different. Using language like your bright side to talk about your strengths and your dark side to talk about your potential derailers also helps clients to really see both sides of their personality. I also like to use the MBPI to help clients to understand their values and a work environment in which they will thrive. I often find that when clients are unhappy in their roles, it's because of a misalignment between their own personal values and the organization's values. So it's really that combination of the HPI, HDS, and the MBPI that make Hogan stand out. Hogan can support deeper, more focused coaching conversations. I've noticed some patterns in the data of the different Hogans that I do with senior female HR leaders. And that is that a lot of them have reached senior levels in their careers by focusing on their own expertise and reliability, not necessarily through self-promotion or through networking. And what that profile shows, so someone with low ambition and maybe low social ability, that can become a little bit of a problem at more senior levels when you're expected to demonstrate more executive presence. Also, if you look at the derailers that I see that emerge under stress, it's that a lot of these HR leaders become overly cautious, they're emotionally reactive, and they're passive aggressive when their expertise is questioned. These kinds of patterns can actually sabotage leaders precisely at the moment when they need to be demonstrating more executive potential. The MVPI reveals another layer. Most HR leaders want enjoyment in their work. They want security, which is no surprise given the events of the last couple of years. But that orientation towards security can also prevent the kind of innovation and risk-taking expected at the senior level. So although their deep HR expertise has gotten them to senior levels, these patterns that emerge under stress can create a barrier to them getting to that next level. But once the Hogan assessment reveals that, my clients are able to work more strategically with that information.